Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs audio review. It is Election Day here in the grand United States of America. And by the time this video is uploaded, it's going to be getting pretty late. So if you have not gone to vote, you should go do that, like, right now. Make your voice heard. Just do it. It's important. We live in a democracy. This is a big part of it. So if you want to have a voice, go vote. That's all I'm going to say. PSA over. The Siren. The Siren from Open Audio Studio. Wow. Let's start with the unbox, and then we'll get into sonic impressions. But unbox and specs first, because it's a nice unboxing. You've got this beautiful waifu on here. She's obviously a siren. Getting ready probably to lure some unwitting sailors into the rocks so she can eat their souls, or whatever they do. I don't know. That's a succubus. Never mind. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. The singing apparently is quite good. The result after the singing is what's not. So anyway, look, this wave pattern all over the inside and outside of the box. A lot of continuity to it. It's $240 IEM, set of IEMs, I should say, and this has that very premium, very nice feel to it. So they obviously care. They did a nice job with this. I'm impressed. I like what they did. The IEM sat here, and then the cable was here in a nice little bag, and the two sets, the Open Audio 003 and the OA05s. Now, the O3s are the ones that I had trouble with the Witch Pro, so those were not used. I should start like sending people unused ear tips, not used ones. But the OA05s are quite nice, and they are, not that these aren't nice, they just didn't fit. They are slightly tacky, like the Asla Sedna ear fits, and the X-Elastics, that is, similar to in shape to the OA100 or the M100s from EPZ as well. So these were not super functional for me either, but they are darn nice. And if you have more of a normal ear canal shape, you're going to be in good shape with the ear tips. They are really, really nice. There's your owner's manual. This is a very nice presentation as well. Everything is like sort of super, super nice quality. I don't usually mess with paperwork too much, but I thought it was worth, instruction manuals there. This really nice blown out view. You can see that 10 millimeter beryllium coated driver in the double chamber. Two BAs. Yeah, this is what I expect when I'm spending over $200. I expect this kind of nice unboxing. It doesn't have to be super crazy, but it has a premium feel to it. And your little dust cloth, microfiber dust cloth, keep your IMs nice and clean. Yeah, bravo on the packaging, guys. Really nice job. As far as our specs go, we have a 107 on your sensitivity, impedance of just 10 ohms. They are quite easy to drive, and frequency response from 10 hertz to 45 kilohertz. And as I mentioned, one 10 millimeter PU soft suspension beryllium coated dynamic driver and two custom balanced armatures. Let's take a look at that. The internals of it. We'll take a look at the IMs themselves and the cable. First and foremost, the cable is, again, it's a super premium feel. It's not super thick. It's not unwieldy. It doesn't have a lot of memory to it. Not tangly really at all. Just feels and looks super nice. Let me throw a little bit more light on this. You can see braided finishes, at the Y split. It's got a chin slider. The chin slider's a little loose, but that's okay. Doesn't, you got to cinch it up kind of tight. But that's not really just more of an observation. I don't really care about that so much. Siren imprinted in sort of gold sparklies on the back, and a little serial number there, 31223, and then R for right. OA on the sort of mother of pearl, but bluish, swirly. It's not really even swirly. It's like there's a pattern there. It looks like a whale tail. OA on that side. Oh yeah, OA on both sides. Siren on both sides. But gosh, I mean, the look, the feel. It's obviously like just a super high quality, completely clear 3D printed resin situation going on here. Even the faceplate, there's really no indication that was smacked together. It just feels like it's all one solid piece, which I guess it could be. I don't know how they could do that, but possibly. You can see this massive dual chambered dynamic driver in there, and I don't mean massive like, diameter wise, it's just 10 millimeters, but the double chamber, the dual cavity, is even bigger than the Witch Pro, which means that this has just got amazingly beautiful, succulent bass going on. Even though it looks like it rolls off a little bit on the graph, which we'll get to, the sub bass rumble is there, without a doubt. And I think it's got to have something to do with that chamber, because that's a thing of beauty. And then your two BAs, separate acoustic tubes, and finishing off into I would say medium length nozzle. You can tell that the depth of this shell is pretty massive as well. So it's not one that like slides into your ears and disappears. You're gonna feel it a bit, but the nice thing is there's no hot spots on it, and it's just such a smooth, high quality resin that it was not uncomfortable at all. Just understand that it's not going to be a side sleeper, and it's probably not going to be like, I didn't take it mowing. I did take it to the grocery store for a little sound isolation test, and it was interesting because if somebody started talking to me, like it was busy there because everybody's stocking up for hopefully no reason, but it's something you can, like, if somebody's talking to you, you can make it out a little bit, but there was no like background noise. It wasn't like I was hearing like every cart going by or refrigerator door opening or slamming shut. Like it's pretty good on the sound isolation. Maybe not top of the heap, but pretty darn good. So yeah, comfortable for sure. Long listening sessions, no issues. Cable's great. Does have the modular thing, which hopefully I mentioned, but if I didn't, I'm mentioning it now. 3.5 and 4.4 come with it, and as far as the switch out goes, it's pretty high friction, so you're not gonna have to worry about it coming off. Dots on there, which you probably can't see, but you line up the dots, boom, it goes on. I use the cable for the graph measurement, which I always like to be able to do if I can. And lastly, it is a flush 2-pin connection, which is also got a nice amount of friction to it, so you're not gonna have to worry about the IMs falling off of the cable. That's always a nice thing. Yeah, everything about these, gosh, those faceplates are just, I mean, look at this. They're paying attention, guys. I mean, they just are. And I love it when companies do this. I think it's kind of expected in this price range, but I mean, this feels even like, looks, accessories like even nicer than 240. Like if I looked at this and somebody told me it was 350, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I get that. 350, $400, sure, absolutely. But as we all know, the most important thing is the sound, and the sound we'll get into now. My kiddo's down here with me. He's home from school, so if you hear a little stuff happening in the background, hey buddy, you want to say hi? Hey Kel, you want to say hi? Hello? He doesn't know I'm talking to him. Anyway, he's here. So TV's on, watching little YouTube kids. Man, this case is nice too. Alright, I promise I'll get into the sound now, but just really nice pattern on it. Really, really premium feel, super sturdy. Those are the H570 tips, which I didn't use too much. Yeah, let's get into tips, shall we? So, as you can see, the Tang Senchai Tangzu Tang Sunshine tips are on here, and that's for a good reason because honestly, I thought it was going to be, and it almost was, another Jazeera 61T butterfly situation for me. Um, the pressure, and I did use Divinous Velvet tips on this for a good portion of testing, until I was just like, why am I doing this to myself when I've got the Tang Sunshine tips? The pressure buildup is noticeable. If that is something that you are sensitive to, although I don't feel like it was nearly as intense as the butterfly, you may not, you may have to go away from your normal favorite tips and get something like maybe the TRI Clarions would work. Certainly the Tang Senchai were perfect with it, just to give some of that pressure relief from it. Because, as much as I liked how the Divinous Velvet tips sounded, after a while, like, 3/4 of the way into Fear Inoculum, I just had to take them out. But once I got the Tang Sunshine tips on there, it was no problem. So these are actually really just a nice fit and feel, and definitely long listening sessions. I pop these in for a long flight, and I'd be perfectly happy. Just be aware of that pressure, because it happens. And some people, like my buddy, Sportsable, he doesn't really experience that to an extent, or to the extent that I do. So when I send these to him to try out, he's going to be like, yeah, it's not a problem. So if you're not sensitive, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a problem. All right, I've delayed it long enough. Here's the graph. Turn this light down a little bit here so we don't get too much reflection. Yes. Okay, like it's like a sore thumb. It's sticking right there. It's a mountain peak. It's like it's there. It's a peak. It's a peak at 4,300 hertz. It's there. It's there. It's there when you listen to it. It's there. It's definitely there. When I first started listening to this set, and I did listen to it before I graphed it, and purposely I don't look at graphs before I listen, because it's just like I just want to hear it how I hear it. And this messed with me. It did. Because when I was listening to it, I was like, wow, the ear gain's pretty intense. I was thinking the peak was going to be right around here. I didn't feel like it was over the top. I didn't feel like it was fatiguing. But I was like, wow, that's something, When it turned out to be higher up in the lower treble, I was like, people are going to see that, and they're going to be like, yeah, that's going to be too intense for me. And I'll be honest with you, for some people it will be. If you're sensitive in this region, and you probably know if you are, then yeah, it's going to be too much. What it does on the positive side is pretty remarkable. But yeah, if this is going to be too much for you, then this is not going to be a good set for you to listen to. I found that, hey, come back here. I found that it didn't bother me once I got used to it, and it did take some getting used to. I will admit that. I was like, I was thinking it was the ear gain, but it was past that. I was like, wow, I can see this set being fatiguing for some people. Probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But she really charmed me, just like the siren charms the sailor, right? Because I'm a sailor, she's a siren. Over the past 3 or 4 days has really charmed me. Like, my initial impression of this, before I did the graph, my initial impression straight out of the gate was, this sounds like the Hodor. That's a good place to start, because the Hodor is one of my favorite sets. Now, the Hodor does not have this, but I feel like it's the sound quality, because of the driver quality of the whatever BAs, whatever customs they've put in here, doesn't make this as piercing as it might look. It's smoother in its presentation, like liquidy smooth in its presentation. That doesn't mean this, like I said, this exists. It's there. But it's not piercing. It's not like, it's not grating. It's not biggest thing is that it's not unnatural. Okay, let's get into the positives. All right, we'll come back to this, but starting with the bass is just so good. And again, the graph doesn't do it justice because you think, well, there's a roll off here, but there's no roll off. It's like literally, it doesn't have the sub bass that the Witch Pro has, or some other sets. Witch Pro is the one I've done more recently. No, but doesn't. But it does have rumble. Oh, for sure. Like it hit the drops in Agony. It hit the drops in. Oh, what was that? Nobody listens to this anymore, but Virginia Beach has got some pretty good drops. Desires has some pretty good drops. So it's rumbly, and it doesn't like all of a sudden just disappear when you have those super low bass synth notes. Like it's there, it's present. So if you are a fan of those and this worries you, don't. There's no reason to worry. It picks them up. It just does. So, and mid bass really just, again, it's got that liquidy smooth, impactful but quick decay. There's a sumptuousness to this set. There's a seductiveness to this set, and it starts with the lower frequencies. The mids, slightly warm, engaging, detailed. Oh, that's the other thing. The bass, detailed. Detailed. It's highly detailed throughout the frequency response, throughout the whole thing. You have got detail retrieval that's as good as any set that I've personally experienced to this point. Okay? Flipping the other side, does it have a lot of sparkle and air? No, it doesn't. But it is energetic, obviously, and it's fairly well extended. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything up here necessarily. Like, even though I can hear up to 16K, I don't know. What is up there? Like, what are you hearing up there? Cymbal decay? Like, it's nothing good. I think the reason that people like to feel this, like, airiness is that it does give a spaciousness and a broader sound stage, like a fairly immersive kind of feel to it, right? But interestingly, this peak here gives it that space. It's got a ton of space. That's why it reminded me of the Hodor so much, is that it's just a very deep, wide soundstage. Like, you just feel like you're surrounded by everything. I don't mean cheesy 3D effect. I mean just like surrounded. Yeah, it's a really nice treble. And again, it's got that sort of liquidy smoothness to it. Now, what did it not do well? There were some things it did not do well. It didn't do like more recent alt rock very well, and it did not do like 80s metal well at all. Because there's just too much emphasis here in those tracks for the most part. So like Black Keys, White Stripes, MGMT, Manchester Orchestra, if those are your bands, not going to be a good set for you. Queensryche, Poison, Motley Crue, like this, it's just not a good match. But for everything else, it was great. It did Coltrane and Davis really well for your classic, amazing jazz musicians. It played classical, it played opera. The vocals on this, female vocals or higher range vocals, because it's not just females that get up that high, are crisp, clear, accurate, and they elicit an emotional response. It's been a while since I was on the verge of tears listening to Dido's Lament from Anna Netrebko. This elicited that kind of emotional response to me. Because of this energy and just clarity and smoothness and detail. Like, you feel like she's singing like probably about 15-20 feet away, on stage. You're just getting washed over by her vocals. And that said, like even metal, you'd think that's not good, but if you're talking more like Meshuggah, Lamb of God, Tool, Sleep Token, come on, Mastodon, thank you. Bands like that. Even Archspire was good. Maybe not the best I've heard it, but it was good. I think I probably like the Witch Pro a little bit better for those types of bands, super heavy, speedy stuff. But for bands that have a little more groove to them, like Meshuggah and like Tool, and even Lamb of God to an extent, like just freaking amazing. Groovecore, that's not a thing. I just made it up. Um, so yeah, I it played almost everything in my library really, really well. And what it did play well, it played superbly. Like it just sounded amazing. So it's going to get a recommend. I'd almost give it a highly recommend, but there's two things at play here. One is this peak, which is going to trouble some people, and the other thing is price, because there's a ton of competition at the price point. There just is, right? But, I mean, I like it almost as much as I like the Hodor, and the Hodor is $300. I like it, I would say, more than the Performer 5, the OG. Like, definitely like more than that. And that's, well, it's probably around 200 now. So it hangs. It hangs with that crowd. It's just a different type of sound signature. And so therefore, it gets the recommend. It gets the recommend for more of a change of pace. Okay, if you got, this, that, and the other thing covered in that 150 to 250 range, or 150 to 300 range, this is gonna give you something else. It's gonna give you a different signature, unique sort of tuning, and I think a purposeful one. I think this was definitely on purpose, and it was made to highlight vocals, particularly higher range vocals, and it does that extraordinarily well. So that's, yeah, it is honestly, like, it's one of my favorite sets now. That doesn't mean it's going to be one of yours, or that doesn't mean that it's absolutely for everybody. I just want to make that clear. Um, but if you're shopping in the price range and you want something different, that's not just different but extraordinarily good at what it does, yeah, you can do worse than this, that's for sure. Yeah, Open Audio Siren. Really cool, interesting set. Really technical, really smooth, and really, really vocally oriented. It's almost like the Warner Studio Edition like went to the gym for a year and like turned into a completely different person, so quote unquote person. Yeah, this is like the Warner on steroids and with bass. But if you're a vocalist, or if you need vocals, or if you literally need, if you're a vocalist like in a band and you want to hear yourself like above the din, wow, yeah, you're gonna hear yourself. That's for sure. These would be great for live performances. As a matter of fact, I just thought of that. They'd be fantastic. You'd be able to hear everybody else enough, but hear yourself more, so you can sing at your best. Really cool. All right, that's going to do it for today. Where are we going next? I'm waiting for some sets. I think I might end up skipping the MP145 just because I'm not super impressed with it. It's good, but it didn't like blow me away in any way, specifically. So I don't know. I think we're going to get into the Zins sets next, which again, my buddy Sforzable sent to me, the HSO1 and the HSO8 Blue Fairy. So we'll have some interesting things to say about those guys and how they may or may not be related to IVIPQ. Little teaser there. But for now, be careful, be safe, be nice. No matter what happens, please be nice. All right. Love y'all. Nothing but peace to you, and we'll see you.